What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Airbrush Down Dirty Tricks. It is Monday night, the eve of New Year's Eve. My lighting is a little dark. I apologize for that. And got there last minute, but you need to see me half the time. Anyway, we're going to be just seeing what we're painting. Happy New Year. Happy almost New Year to everyone. Hopefully the sound is good. The audio is good. Let's get this show on the road. Who we got? We got Robert, we got Brian Moore, we got David the Bug, we got Gary Shees. What's going on? We got 25 of you guys in here already. Thank you for popping in on a Monday night for this cool project. Mike, what's happening? It is going well. I pushed it back just a little bit because I was actually trying to get the vector download for this up and ready, which I was able to do. Like literally just uploaded it 30 seconds ago. Yes, that's a good shirt. Bourbon does make it better. Thank you for the shirt, Gary. It is a true statement. Grumpy RC Flyer, what's happening? Good morning. And let's show you what we got cooking here. We gotta try to go. Yep, that was what I wanted. This is what we got going on. We are gonna do. Someone mentioned. I forget who it was. Kyle, what's happening, man? I don't think you've been on before. Welcome to the show. I'm sure you see my artwork. Mike Manning, what's happening? All the dirty tricks just coming in tonight. Raffin Customs, thank you for popping in, everyone. So I came up with this idea. Actually, man, I forget who it was on Facebook. Forgive me. Said do Father Time since New Year's is coming up. So I figured it would be cool to do something with a clock. And I didn't have time to do like an old Father Time. And the only thing that kept popping in my head was a long nose Father Time from the old Rudolph like felt movies, which would have been cool to do a amazing version of it. Maybe that would be a future thing. But Dave the Bug Gregory, thank you so much. Much appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you. So I came up with this idea. I wanted to do something with a clock, and I started putting together a few things. And I made this project available. It's on MckayFineArt.com as of right now, which is right there. It's a download, and I have another download coming by Thursday. So what I'm going to do is you have this project, which is the skull with the clock, with the stopwatch, and the gears. And what I'm also doing is another one that's going to accompany it, which is just going to be a whole bunch of different gears in different style. And I might include some clock parts and stuff like that as well. So you can make your own kind of collage of it. I was going to upload it today, but there's a few issues with it where the lines were like, instead of being continuous line, it was line, 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 line. So your plotter or cutter would be like to make one sweeping line. And I found that out when I was doing this one. I corrected it in this file. So I have to go back and correct it in there as well. So, but these are all set and these are good to go. If you take a look, so it's going to be this, the skull, which is a similar skull from the aviator skull that's been tweaked and adjusted to fit into this type of format. So it's a very similar process. And then I have this cool vintage stopwatch, which is actually referenced from, similar to the one Herschel carried in The Walking Dead. And then I threw a bunch of gears at it, which the gears, interesting enough, the gears were one of my first of two how-tos in Airbrush Action Magazine. So it was kind of fitting. And I did a how-to step-by-step on how to vector it. And I think that'll be my first of how-to where we do a follow-along on like a Zoom call. I'm setting that up for... I'm going to try to get it out by the end of the month, if not 1st of February, which will be a live class on how to do the vector work and how I do all the Adobe Illustrator basics, as well as doing three-dimensional objects and what to do. And it's a take on what I've done in the past, but I kind of want to do that as my kickstart for that program, so I'll get that up to you guys soon and when that's going to be available, which will be soon. So who else we got here? Lindsay, what's going on? Yep, there's a new download. This is ready to go. And don't forget all the members here. Where's my members link? Man, there it is. So all my down and dirty tricksters, all my gold skulls and everyone, you guys get your discount. The discount is still active, which I believe is still set on the 25% off for all you guys using the code. I haven't changed it, so the member one is fine. There's some confusion with the holiday one, but I think I got that all fixed, so you guys should be all set. But yeah, that's up and available now for download, so if you're interested. So I figured what you could do, watch tonight, because we're going to start this project tonight. We're not going to finish it, because it is pretty complex. We could start it tonight, you could download it, you could kind of catch up and follow along before Thursday night's feed. The Thursday night's feed, which will be the first of 2025, will be the completion of this project. So it'll be a cool way to kind of kickstart it in, if you're interested, because you can kind of get it going. Cheese, get your Nike, what's going on? What else can I show you here? I got the reference image. Let's see if that works. Yeah. So the file will include this reference image, which is the vector. And you know what I'll do? I'll update the file. You can pull this one out of the file, but I'll do the clock as a separate, the stopwatch as a separate file within this set, so you don't have to pick it apart yourself. I'll do that in the morning, and I'll update the file. So if you download tonight, you'll get an update for another download for that. But that's the reference image for the clock. And Darren, what's going on, brother? Man, it's been a while. It has been a while. Let's see, what else we got here? Yeah, I got that. That's new. Oh, so what I wanted to do, let's talk about this. That's fine. Okay, so this is the project. But while everyone's here, I wanted to go up, and we are gonna kind of go back through the year of what we got, what we've done so far. Oops, let's do this, sorry. So this is the year that we started everything. Hey, I'm in the middle. Just trying to figure out how I can do this. That's that, that's that, that's that. So this is everything we did this year. I think it was 20-something paintings? 20-something pieces? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me get that. Okay, I'll put that low. Just so it's a little background music. But yeah, so that's everything we did this year. So you'll recognize some of the projects we did. It's been a good year. Not as many. I think my best was 38. One year I did a lot of two-parters this year. Like, the skateboard deck was a big one. That had multiple. Oh, that was, I think, 2 days. The Labor of Liberty was 2. So yeah, we did quite a bit. So yeah, all this stuff here. We did the Rhino. The Rhino was probably, that's one of my favorites for the year because it was really, semi-photorealism. That was just an off-the-cuff. That was a fun one. London Pound's going on. The one, that was the preliminary one before we did the Seymour project. That was one of also my favorites. We did old Frank. Frank was cool. Yeah. Oh yeah, we did the props. Yeah, the props were fun. The skulls ended up on my front lawn. Vampire's Kiss. Yep, that was a great one. She's a little well endowed. I didn't do anything else other than what I did in the feed. What I didn't work was a lot for the year. Bride of Frankenstein, that was the Reaper. Just wanted to do a recap of what we did this year. It was a good year. And this was cool because we did the UV reactive. So, in the Thanksgiving feed. Yeah, the year summed up in about 2.5 minutes. The killer turkey. And Snowman, which is cleared. And I think I'm going to flat it. I want to talk to you about that right after the first and get that out to you. And the Grundge cleared. They're ready to go. And that was it, man. That was the year. That was, and then this technically is the last painting for the season. So, yeah. that'll be, that wraps it up. Yeah, it was a good year. Some of those do look familiar. So it was a good year overall. I want to thank everyone for supporting. We ended up the year, we pretty much kept the same, 55 to 60 monthly members. So thank you all for the continuous support. I hope to grow that. I really want to get up to 100. I think that's just a nice personal round number for me. So that's growing well. So if you haven't joined up on the members side, the members right now are at 61. All the gold skulls have been here over a year, and a lot of the other guys are creeping up on the reds. They're already ready, so thank you for the support, guys, and that does get you 25% discount off the McKay Fine Art store. So, yeah, I think, that's a good idea, Gary. I'll sign it 24/25 when I sign it. That'll be cool. And I figure with the clock, it'll just be a cool way to do it. So, yeah, let me get to the actual piece. Oops. You can go here, super source, swap. There we go. Let's talk about what we got. We'll do a top down. Top down is a nice view. Alright, so I cut this out of my FBS blue mask, which is this stuff right here. And I got my KUTG gold around the corner. That's this stuff, which you could also plot. But the blue is what I typically use. It's just the nicest overall. And of course, this is what we're going to be using tonight. And let's shut that off. So like I said, this skull was merged from the aviator skull, and I merged that, and this is the new piece and all these gears. Like I said, you're going to be able to get these gears on a separate file. That's going to be available Thursday. It's not available right now, but this piece here is. Okay, so this is a white panel we have in the background, white aluminum panel. Brian Moore, thank you, sir. Thank you for joining up. Appreciate it. So this is a 11 by 15 polymetal, which is the PVC core and the aluminum front and back. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. So if you're going to do any downloads, you'll get 25% off. Go to the member section of your YouTube page and how it's handled, and you'll get a special download code for a discount code off the store. If you have any issues, feel free to message me over on Facebook or Instagram. So because this is a white metal, when if I'm on a black panel or a dark color panel, I usually work from top down. So I'd be pulling what's in the background, what's in the foreground, and working backwards. This is a light panel, so we're going to work the other way because we're going to be using a dark color. My plan for this, and you guys can tell me if you want to change it quick. My plan for this is to do it in brown tones, and then do maybe a yellow candy, tequila yellow candy wash over it to give it that kind of steampunky, bronzy metal era feel. You get it kind of gritty and things like that. That's kind of the look I'm going for. I think it'll work really cool to have it all done in brown and got golden tones. So we'll do some grunging effects, some erasing, and things like that. So we're going to work foreground to background. So when you have a piece like this, you're going to identify what's foreground and background. And the one trick I talk about every time is whenever I do these, when I'm in Adobe Illustrator or Cricut or anything, my cut file here is exactly the same size I printed. So that way I have a plot file, but I don't have to keep plotting multiple stickers. I can pick the easy stuff, big stuff out, then I can go back in with loose stencils and it matches up. That's kind of the key where you do a lot of it. The key is when you print, make sure your printer's big enough to handle whatever your size you're working in, or seam it, and you don't want to hit size to paper. You don't want to change the size of the scaling at all, and you'll make sure it's lined up. An effective but simple background. So for this, I'm going to talk about it. We're going to make this really textury and gritty. So because we're doing background to foreground, we're going to identify like what's in the background. So this whole area's background, all here, all these holes are background, but not this part, just this part. Not, you know, this part, but not this one but not this one, because that's the edge. So we're going to work from dark to light. So we're going to X all this stuff out is what we're going to be taking. All this. We're going to hold off on the eyes. So we're going to go through and just identify. We're not taking these because these are still the profile. And we're just going to identify everything that's going to come out. Those are going to stay. And what we can also do is we can pull the numbers in the hands and all the little tick marks of the seconds. What I did is I made it like the 11th hour. Basically, it's like a minute and a half, a minute to midnight. So we got a second here, and it's just going to roll over. The file has these hands separate off to the side. So if you want to delete these, you can bring that in and change the time. You know, so if you want to use it for a different project. So what I'll do is when I make the file of just the stopwatch, it'll have the hands separate so you can change them however you want. Mr. Mendez, happy almost New Year, my friend. Thank you for popping in. Much appreciated. So that, actually, you know what? We can actually take, so we'll take that. We'll take this out too. And we can take in here. And this is the nice thing about identifying all this, because we can probably, I'm going to take that out second because this is part of the skull and I don't want to work on the skull itself yet. I want to just get the background laid in. So I get the contrast, so I get that push. Okay, that's really the key, is to have, whoops, wrong one. The key is to have that depth, that push, so we work background to foreground. Yeah, dark to light, loose to tight, away, yeah. We'll probably actually, you gotta be working on some of the tight stuff first, but then we'll be making it more textury and stuff like that. So the color I'm doing, I mixed up two colors. So I took this is Wicked Opaque Black Oxide, which is pretty much a really nice brown. And then I added some Illustration Black to it. So I have two really nice brown colors, as you can see right here. And we'll do some erasing techniques. And then, like I said, on Thursday night's feed, we will bring in some like yellow and kind of golden tones to get that kind of golden bronzy. You know, maybe we'll use a little tangerine, a little bit of kind of a tequila yellow color, just to really get it to work out. I'm trying to paint Sharon. The background is very complicated. Painting did not turn out well. Send me a pic on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll see if I can help you work it out. A little water. All right. So now that we've identified all this stuff, and you know what, I'm going to identify it again right here. You know, basically, I'm going to take all this. I'm going to take you. We'll take all the numbers. We'll take this. Not that. So this whole area of this. And it'll make sense as I start to pull what I'm doing here. And you'll see why. This is kind of a better to show, not tell. Because as you see it come to life, you'll see how it works and why it works. I think this could probably need a better focus. There we go. That's a little better. I'll just go over the top down. I think the top down's probably got the best view at this point. Alright, so I'm going to take my pick tool. You could use an X-Acto blade, razor blade, whatever you want. Plastic razor blade. I'm just going to go in and pick. And what I did is, this file is actually 10 by 14, the image, and this 11 by 15. So I used 1/2-inch tape around the edge to do a border. And you could weed this out ahead of time before you even put it on the panel, but it's just as easy to do it here, and sometimes easier because stuff doesn't fall out on you. And you'll see how fast this project kind of goes, because the mask does a lot of the work for you. And the key is you let the mask build your structure, and then you use freehand techniques and texturing techniques and all that stuff to really bring life to it. But so you see what I'm doing. So now you even see it here. It looks like this is floating over a white surface. That's kind of what you're going for. Yep. It was going to get confusing, and I'm going to do something with it here. The gear, technically, you'd see a little bit of it behind here, but it was very little, and I thought it was kind of confusing to people. So I left it out. Now I'm on the fence if I should have left it out, but I can always add it back in. James, what's going on? So this is 11 by 15, and the inner is 10 by 14. If I remember right. Yeah, so it's 10 by 14 inside, 11 by 15 total. I might have said it wrong when I said it earlier. There's a little tick right there because if anyone of you remembers my first how-to, you had bordering with your program. You had bordering? What did I add? So I did the design, and then I added a border in the cut file. So if you have an 11 by 15 panel, this will line up, and you won't even need to tape it. It'll already have it cut. I did it just so you could see it a little easier. So I think it's better for you to show this part, because I could have like picked all this out, and there's a little bit between here we can pick, but I want you to just see the process of what it looks like as you're pulling it. This is what I do a lot on motorcycles. And then once you get here and start painting, it's kind of easier to see your way out of it. And I've talked about this to death. This is the same way I would do it if I was on a motorcycle or car. I would run the same process. And even if I was doing it by hand, I would draw it and work it from this direction as well. What about my first how-to? So my very first how-to for Airbrush Action was, and I forget if it was the skull. I did a koi one, then I did a gear one, which also included the whole tech on how to do a gear in Adobe Illustrator. And then I did the skull with the florals and the tribal blades. Those are my first couple I did for them. If it was Nicodemus, it would have already been sold. Nicodemus will be painted soon, but that's something I'm going to put some love into, some extra love into. And because these numbers are all going to be black, or near black, I'm going to pick these out now. And this is probably the longest pick session you're going to do without painting. And this is, it's stuff like this is where, when people say, I don't use plotters, I'd rather do it all by hand. Well, if you want to cut these little numbers out by hand, or try to freehand them, so they look perfect, you go right ahead. Not my thing. It's not going to add benefit to me to pull my hair out, the little I have left, when I can just design it, hit cut, and have it perfect. You know what I mean? At least that's my theory on the whole thing. Because the end result, customer doesn't care if you did it by hand. Not usually. like I said, what I'm going to do in the next few weeks, I'm going to set it up right after the first, is I'm going to set up a Zoom, finally do a Zoom call. It'll be offered to members first, or members only, to come in for the live session, and we're going to do 1 or 2 sessions on how I do Adobe Illustrator from start to finish. And I'm going to start with the basics, the interface, and then how to do one of these gears for yourself from scratch. And those fundamentals really make up the bulk of what you need to do. Oh, it's cool, man. It is if you want to do it. I paid my dues back in the day. I did it by hand. I don't want to do it now if I don't have to. I forget who the dude is. There's a guy on one of the RC forums that I'm on. These little tick marks. These are a nightmare. So if you ever decide to do this smaller than this, these are a nightmare. The first time I painted this watch years back, I did it like half the size. And it was a nightmare to do. But this shows you how good the plotter cuts. I got a 12-year-old, 15-year-old at this point, Roland plotter. That's still cutting beautiful. This vinyl definitely makes it easier to do. Yeah, weeding is a pain. Now, obviously, if you're not into vinyl, this is easy. If you're really good with the brush, you could come in, with a detail brush, and, some guys who are really good at it, would basically sit there and just go boop, 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 boop. Like Steve Leahy could just go in here and pop it, with a brush, or do these numbers. I know guys that can do those numbers perfect. That's not me. Darren Martin, you the man. Thank you, sir. Big shout out. Cheers, my friend. What's weeding? Weeding is a term we use here in the States and in the vinyl industry for picking vinyl. Basically, it's like weeding the lawn, pulling weeds. So you're pulling all the stuff you don't want. So we call it weeding. But you're basically picking vinyl. Yeah, Roland does make a great plotter. Alright, so we're going to start this puppy up. That's it. That's all you need to do right now. Steve would be able to paint this the size of a razor blade, because he's an animal. Me, not so much. So I'm gonna work with 2 brushes. This is my Clips Takumi. I'll do this for my majority color, which we're going to do some grunge effects and texture effects. Not grunge effects. Can't really do grunge effects. But we're going to do that. And let me grab... I got to switch these around. So the key, do we do my swirlies? Or we do texture? I think the swirls might be kind of cool. I know I use them quite a bit, but I think the background would look pretty wild. Then I'll use a texture maybe on the gears to give it some grit. So we're just going to take these texture, and I still have not got these. I haven't sat down when I need to with my laser cutter and get these ready to roll for everyone. Yeah, this will kind of give it a cool spinning effect. Like that background, it's got some swirling going on. Yes, very true. So, like backgrounds here, you don't need anything overcomplicated. You just need something to kind of pull your eye into different directions, and some gradients and some color fades is all you really need back here. And you can do a little of both. Like we can add a little bit of grain to it. We want to keep that background really just simple. You know, we can do some spit. Because I want to give it that grungy, steampunky kind of feel. If I had time to think about it, a really cool way to do this would have been to get a brass panel or copper panel and do it on that. Maybe I could do a rendering, something a little bit later on. So now I can do this. I can blend that in because this is an opaque, but I'm spraying it at a 5-10% reduction. And I can go into here. We're going to get these guys. So I'm going to do these light, and I'm going to bring the darker color in. So I'm going to texture the darker color. Now, if you wanted to, you could take a water bottle at this point, because you can't do it once you start painting. But I can do a little spritz. Maybe it's really hard to see, but I'm just spritzing some water. I want to give it some texture. Well, this is a water base. You can't do too much of this because once you get too much artwork, it'll... No, it's not even touching it. Let's maybe try a little isopropyl. I just want to get a little bit of kind of reaction happening. Let's see if we I think I got it to dry too. Oh, there we go. We're getting a little bit of, see what's happening? It's just a little spritz of isopropyl to kind of attack the paint a little bit. It's a really cool effect. You can't do much of it. But you just let it, just a little bit. Let it attack. You can't really control it. Just let it do its thing. But you're going to end up with a really cool kind of grungy texture. And I'm just patting, I'm not swiping. If I swipe, it's going to streak. Yeah, I did a bunch of test ones and I finally kind of dialed into where I want it, and then I've used it for a few months. So now I know it's working well. I'm going to go back in and just hit a little bit more in some areas. Because once I do this, I can't really go back without remasking. So this is the time you want to do this stuff. Yes, yeah, we can use antiqued, faux finishing. Actually, before I dirty another airbrush, I'm just going to go through get you textured. I'm going to dump some of that out. And this has got about 10% of illustration black added to the opaque. Actually, I can spray a little in here too. Alright, let's make that darker color come out now. There we go. So, this is where I start talking about drop shadows, because this is when you want to establish some depth. So we can go into here. I can darken these numbers. darken these tick marks up because I want them to be pretty dark. I can erase them back later. I can also pat them in and just kind of mess with them a little bit. We'll make the tick marks a little darker than the numbers. We'll hit those. And again, I'm not flooding a lot of paint in here. When I do my tabletop gaming stuff, we're going to talk a lot about, you know, not just throwing a bunch of paint at something. You don't need to flood it in there, you just need the right amount. The more you do this, the more it tends to start to make sense. Okay, throw a little texture in there now. 90% of it's not going to be seen. That's going to make the numbers look antiqued. Give it that kind of, it'll give this metal like a hammered look. It will cast a slight drop shadow on it. So do you DM... Oh, Dungeon Master games? No, I've never... I don't have the skill set for that. Okay. Alright, so now that's in there. So now let's talk about drop shadowing. So, top-down light source. Light source is always coming down when we paint. It's not always coming down, but it's easier when you do it this way. Alright, so for half hour, we've already got background established. We've shot the shit. So now, I can start coming kind of top-down. This light source is hitting here, so it's causing the drop shadow here, not as much here. So the shadow is going to be heavier under the teeth than it is here. It's going to have shadow all around, but it's going to have a lot more of it in here. And remember, we can add more later once we start, because I want to add more after I start freehanding the teeth, because I don't want this harsh edge. But I can establish some of it now. So see how I'm coming close to here and then coming back out. And back out here and up in here. And I'm keeping in mind that I'm always keeping in mind that I'm going to be washing over this. Cheese, grits, and NyQuil. Thank you, my friend. Much appreciate super chats. I'm keeping in mind when I'm doing this that I'm going to do a candy wash over this and it's erasing. So I don't want to go too dark. If I go too dark, too early, then everything, or if I don't have, you know, enough kind of gradation or delineation from like a dark to light, when I candy over it or wash over it, it's going to get really kind of flat looking. I'm going to lose that depth. And that's really important. If you know you're going to be glaze coating, candy coating, or doing washes over an object, before you do it, you want to make sure your tone and your contrasts are established well. Because if you're all in mid-tones and a bunch of different mids, when you wash, it's just going to get really flat. You want to have a dark, a light, and maybe 2 or 3 plus levels in between. And it goes the other way. You don't want to have it all in the mids either. You want to, or all the darks or all lights. You want to have a nice delineation of tone. Okay? Really, really important. So always keep that in mind at this stage. Okay, so I'm going here, a little bit here. I'm not going too, I'm going to freehand a lot of stuff in there. So I'm just kind of establishing. Now it's coming to the gears. Okay, so top-down lights are heavy there. You still need some here because it is higher. but you need more up top, okay? So there's way more here. These can be pretty dark. Whoops, I missed one. Missed one. Luckily it's in there. Not going to make much of a difference. So when you come to here, this can be done a few ways. We're going to show you a couple ways to do it. You could freehand it and just kind of keep it really loose, which works fine. It works great. It's still going to give you lift. But if you want to give it something a little bit more dramatic, I'm going to slide this back a little bit. If you take your edge, now this is where the hand cutting scale comes in. You'll see the time. So this is where you determine benefit. Is there a benefit to doing this? But I'll show you the method. It's a shadow, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but basically creating a drop shadow template that matches your file. Matches the vector. Oops, got a little squirrely there. It's going to be fine for what I'm doing. You'll see what I'm doing here. You can determine, is this worth it? So where does it go? Here, up to here. I'm going to go all the way. So look, now I can take this, that piece, so you can see. So basically I cut out this, right? And now what I can do, so I want to be a little bit more, if I want to kind of have that effect, I can take a loose stencil like this, kind of move it down, and I'm going to try to hold it up a little bit. I'm not going to go harsh, but I can kind of come in. I can give it a hot and more of the exact shape as opposed to freehand. Okay, so you can do that and really kind of play it off like, it's a closer stencil, it's a closer shadow with a more dramatic drop. So like here, instead of having it loose, I can kind of tighten it up a little bit like that. And that tight's going to give me a more dramatic shadow. So it does add drama to it, like I said. So this is where you determine, this is when it's hard to explain to a customer when they ask for how much something costs. Because I can do this image I can take 2 hours off this image by keeping the shadow softer, or I can add 2 hours by changing light directions, doing secondary shadows, secondary lighting, and making it more dramatic and things like that. Both pieces look amazing. Both pieces look awesome. It just comes down to the details, So I'm going to not do that to everywhere because it'll take a long time. So I'm just, and maybe I can go in and shadow. Like, you can cheat this a lot with a template because you can come in like this and use an edge like that, and you can use another one like this and just make it work. But it can be a lot of work for a minimal payoff. If you put these loose shadows in right, or enough movement, your eye is going to give you the lift anyway. So it just depends how technical you want it. So if I'm a photorealistic guy like Drew or something like that, I'm going to study a photo reference. I'm going to make sure it has as much realism as I could possibly get in this, even though this whole image wouldn't occur in nature or reality. It just depends how much you want to play with it in an artistic way. For all you guys. With mine in the gutter, Darren. So I hope everyone had an awesome Christmas with family, friends, or yourself. Hope it was nice, chill. Drama costs more. Yep. Time costs more. So I'm going to shadow that. I'm going to shadow here. Going to make you go blind, right? So here, I'm going to freehand this from a top-down light source. That ring is right there. Put a shadow right there like that. And there's the latch. And go up. So basically this ring is casting that nice shadow. Looks really good. Oh, Mike, sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, I was worried about that. I was feeling a little under the weather after the holidays. I was like, ah. And I did kind of just take the time. That's why I didn't do a feed last Thursday. It was the day after Christmas. And I figured everyone was going to be sleepy and drowsy and not really into doing a live feed. And I figured just take the weekend, relax. Watched a bunch of TV, binged a couple really good shows. So if you're looking for good shows, I binged Silo. Silo was good. That's Apple TV. And we also, I think it was Peacock, we did The Lioness with what's her name from Guardians of the Galaxy, one plays Gamora. That was really good. Good series. So a lot of couch time. So now this looks really messy. There's a lot of crap. But this now establishes all the ground cover, all the ground work that you need. And whatever's in the foreground is going to be last. So pretty much we're not going to deal with this watch until almost the very end. But because I'm doing so much black and dark, I want to get it set up now. And kind of go from there. So last time I got COVID, I caught it within the 5 days. So I got on that Paxlovid, and I've had COVID a couple times, and I swear that helped. It helped the recovery time. It was much shorter for me. So experience-wise, it was good for me. Okay, so let's do... I'm just going to do a little bit of that. I am back to my lighter color right now. But that's a start, so... by identifying everything, what we worked out, what we pulled out, that's the key. And now you got to look at the next stuff. So now what I want to be taking out is all these, the profiles, the sides, the depth, the extrusion of all these pieces, all the gears. I want to work all those because the gears are behind everything except for this one. So this one, I can't pull these out until I do some work on the skull. So I'm going to come around like this. I'm going to pull here. I'm not going to pull this yet. So I do have to pull this. I could actually pull that now and establish it. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull this guy now. I'm not going to do much skull text, but I just want to establish the drop shadow in here, which would make a lot more sense. I know it sounds crazy. Gatorade and Black Forest gummies. Hey, that's not a bad... Yeah, the electrolytes are key. Hydration's key. But, yeah. Nope, I'd be down for that. Nothing wrong with Black Forest gummies. Or other gummies, for that matter. So the key to not making them look like the stencils is you don't put much paint in here at all. You save it for freehand. If you use stencils in here a lot, you're going to have a really hard edge. And if you notice, I sprayed here. The overspray got to the edge. I didn't spray it heavy on the edge. Okay, so it's very light. That's the key, is keeping it very, very light. So before we get too far, let's pull that out. And like I said, you're not going to do a lot. Again, I'm just going to put a little bit here because I don't want to have a hard edge on the side of the skull anyway. Here I can have a harder edge. And if I need to cut back in here later, I can always cut the paper. But now, at least that's established. A little bit of, we can put a little bit of texture, which will be in the skull there anyway. And we're going to do a lot of erasing techniques. We're going to do grunging techniques here. I'm going to do a lot of erasing techniques in here. But if I'm going to use the grunge kind of effect stencils and the texture effects, now's a good time to do it because I don't want to be getting it on the gear and the skull. I want to use different textures. Alright, so I know that looks like a mess right now, but this is a really good point. And the other key, and it's probably dirtier looking than you think. It's on camera probably looks worse than it is. Maybe I can let me see if I can go back and I can change my light settings. Yeah, there we go. So you can see a little bit better. Because I gotta see all these pieces. And this is where it gets tricky, which is nice when you have the photo reference or the printout, because you can kind of see everything you gotta take out. So you want to just be taking with this gear the depth, the extrusion part. You want to leave the face of the gear for the last. Oops. A little scratchy right there. I could bring out my trusty plastic razor blades as well. These work great. These are scrape right. Look, there's a lot of different ones on the market for plastic blades. I've been using and recommending and kind of turned everyone on to scrape right over a decade or more ago because they are the sharpest without cutting. A lot of them have like rounded edges or the plastic is kind of weak. I get them through Coast because they don't sell these good ones on Amazon. All the ones on Amazon and a lot of the private label ones are shit. They don't last. They don't have the good edge. Or they're too rough. So I've had the best luck with these. And this is a Scrape Right brand. I'll see if I can find a link. I don't try to bombard you with a ton of affiliate links and shit. Okay, so this gear is over this one, so I can't pull it yet. I can't pull. I have to just, let me show you what I'm talking about. So, this one I can pull. This one, I can pull all these right here. I have to stop. I can't pull this section. I pull this section now, it's going to be a problem right here. I need to finish this gear before I move on to this one. And these are all fine. This is the only gear that overlaps another gear. Okay, so this one, and it's a cool effect, which is why it's there. It's just that order of operations is really, really key right now. We're going to talk a lot about shadow and light, and this is really key. What we're doing here is working that shadow and light on hard objects. When we get to the skull, this is going to be a really good lesson for you, Brian, if you follow through with it, because it has hard and soft edges. And then we're going to do chrome, like chrome and shiny. So this is going to have a lot of different techniques. I think by the end of this, you'll really understand light sourcing, and especially how to make eyes. Because the mistake a lot of people make with skull eyes and the noses is they make them like holes. Like, this is a hole, you're seeing the background through it. Skulls are sockets, so they have, you know, when you look at a skull, it's not a hole. There's skin and, not skin, there's more bone inside. So it's not just a black hole. And this little chrome skull is a great way to kind of see that. So you can see it's dark, but there's stuff inside. And it's how we achieve that is going to make it really make sense. If you have a chance, grab a skull. I have one in black, I have one in normal bone, and then I always do a chrome one. The chrome one helps me with dramatic lighting, because I can throw dramatic lighting at it and get kind of a different... Yeah, that's... You know, I can throw one of these lights at it here if I want more light. You know, and you can really see things. That's why I like having a chrome one. So I definitely recommend getting one of them. Alright, so I'm going to leave him. I want to flip this over because I think it's going to be easier for me to see. Just make sure you're pulling the right ones if you flip it. It might go Cubert on you and you start looking at the wrong. For us old guys, if you were in the arcade playing Cubert or something like it, you were all good until your perceptions flipped, and then up was down and down was up, and you were done at that point. So yeah, so you can use these guys. I still like the picks these days. I used to swear by the plastic blades, then I got used to using these picks. I know you're flipped right now, but it'll be fine once I flip it over. Don't worry, I'm a professional. Professional what? I don't know. There we go. So I got all that out. I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to hit all these while I'm here. So the one thing I did on these gears, get all these holes out actually, is I could have got really complicated and put all the vertical, like, chamfers so you could get all the edges. And if you really want to get complicated, you can by all means do that. I'll show you how I tackle that, and it's much faster and more efficient time-wise. Now, the thickness of this, you would almost see the ground in here, but it's actually, like this edge, the depth from here to here is actually from here to here, and you don't see it. That's why you don't see any of these. You don't see the edge in these, because it's angle. Just get all that flipped. Oops, we got some in here. Again, this is a technical part of the project where it requires minimal to, if no freehand at all. If you can follow it step by step and pick the right things and spray it, the gear project teaches you so much, and you'll just have a great time with it, and you'll have a really good result. So what I'm going to make, like I said, I'm going to make the gear download available, and just doing a single gear by itself, which I did a how-to on. And I'll see if I could pull that up and get the little PDF from it. That alone teaches you so much, and then you can expand on this. But this just gives you a little bit more to look at. All right. Yes, this is available on McKayFineArt.com. That is the QR code for it, and that's the website. If you go, it should be right in the front page right now. It's a $25 download, and if you're a member, you get 25% off. And if you want to join member, there's a QR code up there that'll let you join. And you can be one of the down and dirty tricksters. Alright, so we're an hour into this, with all the talking and everything else. Do you sell the print of this image? Yes, so part of it, when you download the file set gives you the JPEGs and PNGs that go along with it for the project. So it's all there. So you could do a hand cut, you could do a transfer in hand cut, no problem working from this. Without a plotter, this is going to be very difficult for you, but not impossible. But the set's kind of all-inclusive. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wash over all of this so it all gets color and all gets tone. Remember, I'm not doing here yet. We can hold off on this one. But remember, I still need contrast, so I want to still make sure it separates from here. So what I do, let's focus on this gear. See if I can bring in. And I'm going to bring another camera here. Give me one sec. Alright, get nice and tight here. So, remember, these are cylinders. So when you shade a cylinder, let's look at the airbrush. When you look at an airbrush, you can see, that cylindrical shading where you have the core highlights and the core shadows. So I'm gonna keep those in here by going kind of dark. I'm gonna leave it a little bit brighter in the center, and then I'm gonna hit around the top. Okay, very subtle, but it does quite a bit. Just follow that down, leave it a little brighter in the center, and then come around. Okay, it's really simple. Oh. Right in here too. Okay, so shading this. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to just shade. Oops. When your airbrush isn't as responsive, one of the keys is this little hole. If you've done a lot of shaking, this little hole right here, and that gets plugged, will sometimes cause that delayed reaction. And I'm going to go just around here. I'm going to hit the edge. I'm not going to use that harsh black color. Now this looks good. What's going to make it look better is you're going to take the plastic razor blade and see these edges here? They have a little bit of the face. So that's the outer edge, and this is the inner. I'm going to take this, and this is really delicate. I'm just going to spray a little bit right at that edge. So see how that created that edge? I'm going to do it again right here. Straight on the blade mostly. You're going to get a little edge. Super subtle. Very little. Here you're going to do both sides. Side one. Side two. See how it's just leaving that little edge? And that gives you a big dramatic effect. Now you're going to go the other way. If you need to flip over, oops, I can't do that and have you see it. So we're just going to pick the camera up a little bit here. A little bit there. These where the plastic razor blades really come in. So now you can see those nice little edges. And this is what's a big benefit of using a transparent paint, because it'll keep stacking. But you'll get those nice little edges there. And you could always go back in with an eraser or a scraper and hit them if you wanted like a bright edge. You could take the edge of a blade and just hit a little bright edge. Again, how much you're getting paid? How much time do you want to spend? Yeah, you can do all those little effects if you want. Yeah, you could tape as well. The problem with tape, it's because it's down so much, the paint wants to go across and end up out here a little more, so you gotta be more careful. The nice thing about the blade or edge or business card is you can kind of pick up the edge. So instead of being, let's see if I can go. So instead of being on the edge like this, where if I spray, it goes all the way up, I can actually pick up the edge like this a little bit. And it's a softer edge up here, because see how you don't see it go sharp, it goes soft? That's kind of the benefit to do it. But whatever works for you, works for you. So like watch, I can go into here, and I can hit this edge. And this is just faster, because I can just connect, so edge to edge, edge to edge. So there's a reason why, like, I could have put all the plot file in there, and you could pick each section, but it's a lot of work for a very little gain. And then you can freehand some of it and just get it to work in. And you can decide if you want it darker than that or not. I don't on this one. So this is the point you can actually pull the face of the gear. And you can see how dimensional that gear already looks like it's kind of pointing out at you. And this is really simple. A little shadow, and then a little just kind of reflective tone. If you want to give it an edge, you can use like a straight edge and kind of hold it off a little bit, so it creates a semi-hard edge, but don't put anything down like heavy. You want just enough to do it. And if you decide you want to put cracks in the gears, like get your paint running right, you can definitely make cracks. But we can do all that at the end. I don't want to do a bunch of things and then go, oh, that's too much, you know, because it just... I want to really get contrast so it pushes behind. So I can afford to go pretty dark right here, so it pushes behind that skull quite a bit. But if I want to put a crack in it, let's see if I can get one going here. No, I'm not flowing. I probably have to thin the paint a little bit, so I'm going to wait on that. Yeah, exactly, Brian. So that's your first win. So you do this project. The cool thing about this is the gear was one of my first how-tos ever, because it shows the benefit to just controlling your paint, doing a little bit for a big result, and people look at it like, oh wow, that looks great, it's amazing, and it didn't take much time. And we're going to do all of these, and it's going to work out really good. So I think my goal for tonight, and I'm going to finish off the feed after that, I want to get all these gears done, okay, and that's going to be it. And then we'll set up for next week, not next week, for this coming Thursday, we'll do the skull and the clock together. But I want to get the gear done so you can see that win. And if you follow along and you download this project, you got tomorrow, you got New Year's Day, you got Thursday day if you're off as well. You can get this set up and get it done and get it going, and then, you know, follow along. And you guys who are members, you all kind of know who I am on Facebook and stuff like that. If you download projects and you're in the middle of something, you're struggling, message me. You can always message me. I'll give you some pointers. I'm usually pretty good about getting back to people within like 24 hours. I try not to hang by my computer like a slave to it. But I'm pretty good about getting back. And you can do this any color value you want. I'm going to take that darker tone just so you can see. So I'll have two airbrushes going here. So this is the darker, this is the black that's mixed into that brown. So I can hit that shadow even harsher and see it pushes back even more. This pushes back, this pushes back. Push that right in the background. And I will, by Thursday night, I'll have the gear file, the separate gear file. I figured gear, I might put some cogs, some other different items like clockworks and stuff like that in there. I think it would be a cool project. Because I've used gears a lot over the years in different paintings and different projects. So now this gear is going to look really cool. This gear is an extra level. I have other gears that have a bevel on this edge as well, so it's like a double bevel. You can make them as complicated as you want. Oops, I messed up. I didn't pull. That. I'm going to have to fix that. Or it's not going to have a hole there. It's going to be an offset gear. So see that gear. Now I can get into this one. Oh yeah, so these are Iwata airbrushes. So this one here is the Eclipse, which is the side feed, which is the base model of the smaller SBs. It's actually the same airbrush as this, which is the Eclipse CS. This is the workhorse I use. Same airbrush, just different body shape. And these are my go-tos. See how that little bit of shading? Done. Now that gear's popped under there nicely. Remember, when I wash over this with the gold candy on Thursday, it's really gonna just make this thing pop. Now that I have this one, now I can pull the rest of this one out. So it'll make sense as to why I did what I did. So now, whoops, I want to make sure that's dark. So now this gear looks like it's over that one. That's why I waited. And I'll go through. I'm going to hit this curve in here, make that nice and dark. Just that bend, that reflection, let that reflection go around. Hit this whole thing. Now I can play with these edges here. I can just go back and hit all these. So if you want to tape these, you can. So you can take a tape like this. You could actually just take one piece and go like that. And move to the next one. Like that, and just keep going around. And go here. You can hit all those edges. It's really quick. Big result. Very short amount of time. I promise you, if you get a customer that wants this on their bike or car, you know, this or something along these lines, or if you're doing a Harley logo on the side of a bike, these same rules apply. I've done a lot of three-dimensional Harley logos with the same method. Okay, so this gear you're about to see has a double. So it has this, and then it has an inner. So you can make it either way you want. I'm just going to go around and tone it. I'll do a couple reflections. You can, like I said, you could do that soft edge. Just hold it away like a quarter, eighth inch, and you'll get a soft highlight, a soft shadow, like that. Ta-da! Got a little too wet. Just keep air flowing, let that dry out. There's a lot of mistake people make, especially with the water base. If you get it a little too wet too fast and you keep trying to put paint on it, that's when it starts to mottle and get funky on you. So you can go through it if you want to put a little marks, you can. You can go through and scrape off little chips and make the edges a little messed up. It all depends what you want. Look, that's already 3 gears. Not too shabby. Okay, 2 more gears. Yeah, so I have both, Robert. So I have a commercial grade roll, and I've had for like 15 years. Then I have the Cameo Silhouette. They both are great machines. The Silhouette just does small stuff, but the Silhouette does things a commercial grade plotter can't. Like it'll cut hard stencils and things like that. It is a learning curve if you don't have experience in vector art and stuff like that. There's a lot to it. The big key is just not overthinking it. And just learn the basics of just shapes. Start working with simple shapes and cutouts, and I promise you it'll work out a lot easier. That's kind of the trick, is just break things down to simple shapes. Or like you can download stuff like this. You download this, you can size it to do a size plotter, which this, if you cut it like long ways, this is only, the design's only 11 inches wide. Or 10 inches wide, so this project this size will work on a Cameo without a problem. And if you guys have Cameos or Crickets and you download my file, The file comes with multiple file types. The DXF and the SVG is what works on the Silhouette. And what you do is you don't open it, you import it. So you go to File, Import, and then you bring it into your library. You import it to your library. You import the DXF and let it load up. And then from there, it's actually pretty easy. You just size it and cut it. And they do have some good basic tutorials. Learn the basics. Yeah, Graphtechs are great machines. My 3 commercial grade machines I would go for is Suma is the best. They're the Rolls Royce. They're the most expensive, but they do a lot of things that no other machine does. And then Roland and Graphtech are the top 2 aside from that. Those are the top 2 I would go with overall. Suma is very special needs. So I like Roland better than Graphtech personally, but Graphtech makes some cool models as well that do some cool things. So it just depends on, you can't go wrong with either one. So I'm just going through and just hitting all these edges of that gear. Front side, back side, and making that cog kind of pop out. That was actually, if you use a plastic razor blade, tape up that center hole, because sometimes you get those little guys. I'll integrate that. I'm not going to stress over it. So the first thing I started doing with a plotter, yes, they 1000% can do what I'm doing. This is just a basic eclipse. It's just evenly spraying, a little control, and with practice you can definitely do all of it. It's not magic. It does take some time to get that trigger control down, but if it was easy, everyone would be doing it easy. No, the majority of guys in here, I think I would say, the majority of them are hobbyists that do it for fun. Maybe a couple guys pop in and out that are, full-time at this, but not many. And hobbyist doesn't mean not good. It just means you don't do it to survive. The nice thing about the Cameo is all the generations pretty much use the same software interface, which is great. Yeah, Dave, if you have an Iwata, even as the lowest end Neo, you can still do great work with it. I've done some videos with it. It's more about paint reduction and practice than anything else. It's like playing a drum. You can buy a cheap drum kit, and once you learn, it'll still make it sound good. So this lesson will probably give you the most bang for your buck, because it teaches a lot of sequential masking and things like that. Tried to pawn off my friend to learn it, and she even gave up. Then just learn it, man. It's not... Robert, this is the thing about a plotter. Any of them, they all work the same. A plotter is just like a printer and a computer. if you want to find an image to print, you're going to find it and figure out how to print it. Any plotter or cutter works the same way. Now you just got to learn how to use the basic tools. So start by cutting basic letters, basic shapes, one-dimensional. Cut that, paint that, flat work. And then start getting into complex stuff and designing stuff. The more you do that, the better off you'll be. You don't have to go in for these crazy... crazy projects right off the bat. Look, I'm going to go in at the end. We're going to add more things and some distressing. Like, we can go in now and, like, I can take a little bit of these textures. We can add some grit. Just make these gears look a little bit more used. This is one of Tommy Ham's stencils. See that little, just 5 seconds? Little added texture just gave it a little something extra. Do you ever scroll through TikTok? Yeah, I'm on TikTok quite a bit. I have a page. I've done some, I don't do a lot over there, but I'm on there. I think it's the artist, Scott McKay. I think I have it set under. Yeah, like, another good thing is American flags. American flag vector is a great one to practice because you learn how to do stars and stripes and sequential masking and pull it. Like I said, this project will just, you can set this up, import it, cut it on your mask, put it on, or you can make stencils, like loose stencils. That's the nicest thing about a Cameo, is you can put, the nice thing about a Cameo plotter, or Cricut if you have those, they work the same. I prefer the Cameo way more. You can put like heavy, thick cardstock and cut stencils. You can put Mylar and cut stencils in it. You can cut stuff like this in that machine, which is great. So you don't just have to use it for sticker plotter. You can do it for this stuff as well. So it really does come in handy. Alright, so let's zoom back out here. There we go. Cool. Yeah, the more you mess with it, the more it'll just come. It really will. I got lucky where one of my early days, my early shop I worked out of was a sign shop. So I started by applying vinyl, and I learned how to apply and do all that. And then I learned how to start doing my own design work and things of that sort. Okay, so that's all the gears. That's all the gears. And where are we at? We're at 10 hour and a half, not too bad. So an hour and a half with talking, going through everything. We got all this done. Instead of rushing through, yeah, I'm not going to rush through. I was just saying maybe I'll pull the skull stuff here. I think the only thing I'll pull, and we'll call it a night, for you guys to leave it off. And anyone who downloads this, I want you to try to get this far by Thursday. See if you can get this far. Oops, that's the wrong color. I want the lighter color. I want to say... Mike, I really appreciate the support and everything. The Mylar and the Graphtec and the Rollins, it works. It's not great. Honestly, I got the Cameo for that. It's way better. Now I got a laser cutter, so that's even better. So I'm just going to pull the nose. I'm going to pull that section. And then I'll pull this section, which is where the kind of delineates the septum from the two parts of the skull. Definitely like, share, subscribe. If you want to download this, definitely sign up for the membership. It's going to help. And that's it. That's a great stopping point. Yeah, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop right there. Yeah. I don't know if I wanted to pull the face. I was going to think about pulling the face. You can see the numbers. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. I think that's a great place to just stop. Alright guys, I think that's not a bad place to stop. So remember, this project is available for download right now, and this is going to be the only project that I've started in 1 year. I'm going to finish it the second year. So like Gary said, we're going to assign this in 24/25. So we started the 30th. We're going to roll this over to, I believe, will be the 2nd. So Thursday night, 8 p.m., we will wrap this project up. And that'll roll us into 2025. I want to thank everyone who's been such a huge supporter. All you guys, especially, who have supported, all you gold skulls, you've been supporting for over a year. The red skulls, you're just about there, which is the majority of you as well. So, super thank you to everyone who has kept this channel running and given me your money and your time and your support. And I hope you feel it's been repaid. So, yeah, we're just going to keep growing this channel. We almost hit 12,000 this year. I think we're 400 shy. So we'll definitely hit 12 plus into the next year. But I need the support. I need you to like it, share it, post, ask questions, get in the community page. All that stuff helps. I hope you all have a wonderful, happy, and safe new year. Don't do anything too stupid, but have a little fun. I want to see you all back here in 2025. We will wrap up this project and start the next year and see if we can make it a better year than this year was. I think it will be for everyone. I'm looking forward to it. I got some big plans, and we'll definitely be doing vector classes, how I do my design work. That's going to be coming up for members in January, early February, where we're going to show you how to design things from scratch and how the interfaces work. That's going to take a lot of the guesswork out for a lot of you guys. So that's coming up this year for sure. And also my tabletop gaming, for anyone into tabletop miniatures and hobbies, we're going to be doing those here on this channel, as well as the new tabletop airbrush channel that's going to be starting after the first year as well. So we got a lot going on, a lot to do. And obviously painting motorcycles and cars, everything else to go with it. We got a big boat coming up. That's going to be a great project. A lot of stuff going on. As far as compressor, I'm just using a studio compressor in Iwata. I think it's SmartJet Pro is what I use here in the studio. Nothing super crazy. And that's it. Mike, Gary, Brian, all you guys, Scott Manning, thank you, Mike Manning. Thank you for everything you've done all year, and see you all in 2025.